Well, hello, America. Welcome to the Wednesday night special. I'm kind of excited for this one. We make predictions every year, and then we, follow them all year and tell you if it came right. We're batting last year, I think, 87% on our predictions, so not bad. These are things that I want to make clear. There are things that I have said, and I hate to call them predictions, but things that I've said that have come to me spiritually through prayer and everything else. And those are different. Those are ones I will fall on my sword on. These are just more of me just going, I think this is what's going to happen. And talking to some experts and really trying to follow in what are the things that are going to happen that could either be missed, that are big, or in some cases, things that we need to prepare for or look out for, watch for the warning signs. So I got a lot we're going to go into today. I've got a Greenland prediction, a Panama prediction, a Supreme Court prediction, and Diddy and Epstein. All of that coming up. But I put up on the chalkboard 10 of the predictions that we're going to go through all of them. I'm going to talk to you about some of the others, humanity and Greenland and China and Panama Canal, stuff like that, as we go along. But we're going to hit these. And I brought Jason Buttrill in, Jason is my chief researcher and head of all of the research and investigations that we do. And I wanted to make sure, Jason, that you were here because I respect your opinion. And I'd love to know what you think about all of these predictions and what it means for us, what we should be looking for through the year. And then you also took my predictions and ran them through ChatGPT.
And I don't know, I'm always scared of this show, but looking at ChatGPT's prediction grade for you, now I think I'm even more scared. So we'll see.
Really? Did it come out? Because I don't know how it came out. Did it come out?
Well, when I started seeing 80%, 75%, I was like, whoa, hang on.
Okay. All right, good. So let's go through. And we're going to start here with number one. Number one is the internet will be destroyed and reborn in 2025. I know that sounds absolutely nuts, but it's actually not. It's something that we have talked about, and people like Elon Musk have talked about it. It's just, it's not as bad as you think it is. It's actually something that has to be done. It's a little understood reality that you don't really have access to the internet. What you get is access to a little sliver of the internet it kind of brokers. It's an index, and it brokers what the internet will give to all of us. The internet has been dying a slow death for a while now, and everybody's been aware of it. And what the problem is that have you ever gone on the internet and you're reading some great article and then you're like, oh, it says click here and watch the video, or click here and see this study. And then you click there and you get a 404. You get, there's nothing. It's just been removed. And you're like, oh, crap. Well, that's because let me look in here. What is it? Recent study found 1,000 peer-reviewed research papers published as recently as 2015. More than 35% of those are now dead links. So 35% of what you're clicking on from those things that have been published since 2015, now dead because somebody moved them, somebody took them down, they weren't valid, whatever it is. It's no longer linked there. So what happens? If we don't, well, let me put it this way. Do you want the internet to appear like California appears today? The reason why California keeps catching on fire is because they refuse to clear the underbrush, all of the dead stuff. And that dead stuff catches on fire and then burns down all the good stuff. What this would do if we don't start cleaning it out is it will make it impossible. You'll spend so much time just going to dead links. So we have to do this. The problem is that the reason why we haven't done it before is because it requires individuals to do it. And that just is time consuming. But now AI can go and find all of those things and remove all of the dead stuff or the stuff that's not relevant. So as we give the internet kind of a digital enema, if you will, you're going to the good people at Google to clear it out, scour the active web to let AI find and store what it determines to be relevant content and live links. I don't trust Google, nor do I trust AI to do this. It's a little frightening to think that the record of history, this is like going into a library and having, one person who has been trained by a group of people that you don't know or you don't necessarily trust, go in and go, you know what? Let's go into the library. There's some few pages and a few books that we just got to rip out. I'm not comfortable with that. So you're kind of in this situation where it's necessary, but also a little terrifying because of the power we are now giving to AI to be our memory. Not necessarily good. With our research, I always tell the guy who prints all of our stories every day, that puts it together for our morning newsletter that you can get in your email box. I tell him, I want you to take and get those stories and download them and burn them on a disk, because I know they're going to disappear at some point. They'll become irrelevant. And we want the original stories, not just the story of us quoting the story, but the actual story. That's going to become harder and harder now. But we can just trust AI, right? Okay, so questions on that one, Jason? Seems pretty straightforward.
It seems pretty straightforward, and I think you're exactly right. The thing that would worry me the most, and I'm looking back at research that we've done over 2024, a vast amount of the things that Joe Biden's administration was doing as it relates to the internet, they kept on talking about something, I believe it was called Real ID. And they started talking about the necessity for making it, your identification visible. So anything that you looked at on the internet, whether that would be like you go and log into your bank account, or you would log into just whatever, BlazeTV.com or whatever, they want to make it to where you are who you say you are, which you can imagine the power that gives the government. So does this revamp of the internet include things like that are tacked on? Those are the kinds of questions that frighten the hell out of me.
That very well could be. You know what happened in the EU recently? They've just voted in the digital ID, and as soon as did you know that?
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, it's in Europe now. It just passed. So now that digital ID is there, as this thing, it's barely, the ink isn't even dry on the passage of it, and they're saying, okay, now we have a digital wallet. Now we need the digital money to put into the digital wallet. So every step we take, we have to be very, very careful.
Yes. Because
there are people that see a bigger picture. None of these stories are isolated, and that's the problem. There is a greater mind, and as you'll see later in the show, an even greater godlike mind that is on the horizon that we should be aware is right around. Okay, so what does ChatGPT say about this?
From ChatGPT, the probability of this happening, Glenn's prediction, 90% probability. They say specifically, AI-driven tools will continue to restructure the internet. Dead links, outdated content, and paywalls will give way to AI-curated summaries and dynamic updates. The internet, as we know it...
Wait. AI curated summaries?
Yes.
That doesn't sound good.
No. They go on. Okay. The internet as we know it will feel more like a centralized, streamlined knowledge platform controlled by a few gatekeepers: Google, Microsoft, OpenAI. This change will be seamless to users, but will raise concerns about censorship and bias. You think, Glenn?
Wow. That's terrifying. I'm not freaked out by mine. I'm freaked out by ChatGPT.
Same.
Okay. So this brings us right directly, and I think it kind of referenced this with ChatGPT just a second ago. Let's go to my next prediction, internet gatekeepers. Internet gatekeepers are now going to go AI. It'll be RoboCop. It'll be a digital RoboCop for opinions. And this becomes very, very scary. This is going to happen, I believe, this year. AI systems like ChatGPT increasingly will act as gatekeepers, deciding which information is right, which is valid, which you can access or not. And it ties kind of into the last one. It's for your own good. It's going to make it very, very convenient, but it also is going to go right into bias, manipulation, censorship, and everything else, but you won't be able to argue with AI. This brings me into the second part of this prediction of the internet gatekeepers, and that is we begin the journey of losing what it means to be human in 2025. There are a couple of stories. One I'm going to talk about tomorrow on the radio, where you can download yourself before you die so you can live on forever with your family. A little frightening, yet a little appealing at the same time, and you'll understand why I said that on tomorrow's program. But this year, I believe we're going to see the first edition. You will see some top companies start to have AI consultants. They will most likely, I don't know if it'll happen this year like this, but you will in the very near future check in with a consultant and you'll say, hey, I'm working on this project. And up on your screen, it'll come up and it'll be a man or a woman who, look like they're just, you're having a Skype chat with somebody who's real. And they'll say, sure, what are you working on? I'm working on this, and I can't figure out this. Oh, well, what you need to do is look here. In fact, let me bring this fact in. And that's an AI assistant that is going to be used first at high-level corporate. It's not going to be the little bean counters. It's not going to be the people we all think are going to lose their jobs first. That will come. Unemployment will play a big role next year. This year, you're just going to see the addition of different consultants, and in your own life, something that you will probably not be able to turn down, a digital assistant. Somebody that you can say anywhere you are, hey, I want to go, I got to go to the doctor, then I got to go get some groceries, and then I'm thinking about vacation, and don't let me forget, I got to get a gift for my wife. Okay. The digital assistant, you won't have to say that because the digital assistant will know those things are coming up on your calendar, will listen to you all the time, and will make your life so convenient. I know my wife has Siri on her phone. We get in the car. She's like, hey, call Jason. And it'll automatically call Jason. I don't use Siri. I don't like Siri. But this is going to be to an AGI level, not the kind when you get on Alexa and you're talking about something with Alexa. Here's what I found on the internet. It's nothing. It's not relatable. That's old think. Those are old AIs. What's coming is going to be something that makes you question what it is to be human. Eventually in time, my prediction is this is the beginning of this course. This year is the beginning of the changing of what it means to be human. Because in time, you will bond with these assistants and these people. They will seem so real and so helpful and so loving and so kind and so on top of it. And they pay attention to you and only you, that you will eventually, people will begin to fight. No, that's my friend. That's human. And that opens up a whole new ball of wax we can get into maybe next year or the year after. But we're at the threshold in 2025. Okay, Jason, questions before we get to ChatGPT?
Right as you're talking about everyone having these things, I was over the holidays. I was watching Seven, that movie Seven with Brad Pitt, and Morgan Freeman, and to figure out the mind of their killer, they had to go to like old school. They were going to the library. Like, what books did he check out? What was he into? How is he thinking? Now, as you're talking through this, I'm like, well, these things are designed to be like a human and to do predictive behavior. Now, there is a complete record. I mean, there was a record of the Tesla Cybertruck bomber about how, this was just in the news like a day ago, about how he used ChatGPT to figure out a lot of things that you just can't find on regular Google search. All of these things are going to be right there for anyone that wants to look into it.
When I said, and don't forget, I got to stop at the store, you won't even have to say that because your digital assistant will know what's in your refrigerator. This isn't this year, but this is probably a year or two away. It will know what's in your refrigerator and will have already ordered it for you. And when it progresses a little farther, Amazon is looking at, they are a predictive company. That's what they want to be. But they have to have about a 90% accuracy rate. So they pretty much know what you're going to order. If you're ordering on Amazon, they pretty much know what you're going to order and when. What they want to do is, instead of you having to go order stuff, they want to ship it to you. And then you just return the things you don't want or don't need. Imagine the power and control of that and the money involved in that, of shipping you something they know you're going to love. That's what's on the horizon, not this year, but soon. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to go into the Singularity is here, and then we're going to get off tech. So that's coming up in just a second. First, let me tell you about Relief Factor. If your pain is affecting your life the way it used to affect mine, maybe a resolution for 2025 should be make 2025 the year I feel good again. I used to suffer from terrible pain in my hands. Now I have pain, just like everybody else has pain. And Relief Factor doesn't necessarily attack that for me, but it attacks other things for me. And everybody is different. It took away the crippling pain in my hands that I thought, I almost quit. It was so bad that I just couldn't hide it anymore on television. We had all kinds of cues of, take the camera off of Glenn. And I just thought, I can't do it anymore. Well, my wife made me try Relief Factor. Take it every day. 100% drug-free, developed by doctors to reduce or eliminate pain, and it has made a remarkable difference in my life. Get their quick start kit. Try it for 3 weeks. Take it exactly as directed. 70% of the people, it just changes their life. 30%, it doesn't work. Well, just try it. $19.95. You can see if you can make this year the year you are back out of pain. 800-4-RELIEF. 800-4-RELIEF. ReliefFactor.com. So it is my yearly look at what I think is coming this year, and we have a lot to go over. I hope to get to most of them tonight, if not all of them. But let's move right on to number 3. The Singularity is here. Now, the Singularity means different things to different people. It is the merging of man and machine. But the singularity that I'm talking about is the end of Moore's law. And this is something that, let me just show you this chart from, this is the growth of intelligence and testing of ChatGPT. So you'll see, it was the first one in 2019. Then you get to 2020, and it's not doubling or anything, But then all of a sudden, it's almost a straight line up. When it becomes an exact straight line up in innovation, that's the singularity. That's when you will not be able to keep up with technology. It will move so fast that every day you will get up and it'll be something new that you're like, I can't believe that. Really? That's happening? Yes. The singularity is here. It will be decided or claimed. It will happen in 2025. We will see. Historians are going to have to say, when it actually hit. But I believe it's happening this year. Let's go to the next one. Prediction. Ceasefire from the Ukraine-Russia war. I'm anxious to hear, Jason, what you think about this prediction. Both sides are exhausted. Both sides want a way out. They're running out of manpower and munitions. But they both need a win. We just need a stop on this thing. Trump is going to want a win on this, but so is Putin, and so is Ukraine, and so is NATO. So everybody's going to want to win on this. I believe that Joe Biden has set the president-elect Trump, for his negotiations. What he's done is he has taken the military-industrial complex and just laundered money through Ukraine. We have sold their farmland to big corporations here in America and BlackRock and everything else. Everybody's eager to rebuild. They're making their money. Meanwhile, they've slaughtered all these kids in both Russia and Ukraine. For what? For money, for corruption, for power. So Joe Biden did all of that. And then at the end, he crossed every single red line that Russia put up. And do you notice he did it in the last 3 months? He backed them up into a corner to where they were saying, we're going to launch a nuke against you, America. So I think the negotiations are going to start. That's why I say a ceasefire. Hopefully it'll be an end to the war. But what's going to happen is Russia's going to come to the table and Trump's going to make them a reasonable offer. And he's going to take both of them and say, make this deal. And Russia is going to say, you know, America, I could make that deal with the Ukraine. But you violated so many things. I think the price needs to be a little higher on your side. What are you going to give us now? Because we didn't nuke you, and we told you we would. We showed restraint. You showed that you were a warmonger. So what else do we get? I think this is a setup. Trump will have to give them more than what we would want in land or whatever from Ukraine. And that will be the rallying cry for the Democrats, Russia, Russia, Russia again. And they'll say, see, we told you he was a spy or in league with Putin. Look at how this deal is so lopsided on the Russian side. I don't know if you can run this through ChatGPT, but what do they say?
ChatGPT pretty much agrees with you wholeheartedly with an 80% probability of this happening. They say specifically both sides are depleted and need a break. With Trump's return, negotiations may lead to a temporary ceasefire. The boils will freeze for now, but unresolved tensions will set the stage for future conflict. You're pretty much right on the money here.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like there's going to be any winner in this one. It's just going to be a stalemate. Let's everybody back away for now. Back away.
Yeah.
All right, the next one I don't want to make. I hate this one, but I think it's likely. I'm interested to see ChatGPT on this one. My next prediction, prediction number 5, is Summer of Rage due. So we get the second Summer of Rage. I'd be shocked if Antifa and BLM and Occupy Wall Street groups, aren't already partnering with plans to partner with, the socialist Marxist Workers' World Party kind of foundations, all funded by Soros most likely. But what they're going to do is they are going to find either the firing of people in the government to be racist, or they'll find whatever it is. But once the economy, which I'm going to get into in a minute, if it doesn't take off right away, and some things get a little worse before they get better, they're going to say tax cuts are hurting the little guy, et cetera, whatever they need. But they haven't gone away. They will take to the streets again. Trump will be Hitler again. The right will be fascists. The media will back them up. When you start to see people being deported, remember, Clinton deported 11 million people that were here illegally. 11 million people under Bill Clinton. He shipped more people out than any other president alive. We're talking about 11 to 15 million people. They're going to say this is the worst thing ever. While they didn't mention anything under Clinton, they are just looking for a new excuse to go after the president. I think this summer is going to be a summer of rage. What does ChatGPT say?
ChatGPT is giving you 75% probability you are correct here. Incredibly high, again, for this. Protests against Trump will escalate, fueled by controversial policies like immigration enforcement. These will likely turn violent in major cities with anti-establishment groups targeting infrastructure. Media coverage of police and border enforcement will amplify tensions. Martial law scenarios in some areas are possible. So they're taking...
Which will only make things worse. All they need is the excuse. And Trump is not going to mess around. He will send in the National Guard, but it's going to require the governor to okay that or officially request for the National Guard to come in unless it's against federal lands or something like that. That's going to be a real problem. But we can weather that. We've seen this movie before. The most important thing we can do is just stay united. Just stay together. Know who's in our camp, who the good guys are, who actually believe in the Constitution and are trying to fix things, and those who are just staying here kind of as a sleeper cell until things get bad. All right, next prediction. The largest anti-Western caliphate will form in the Middle East. Prediction number 6, there is a new caliphate that is coming. This is because of the misadventures in the Middle East from Afghanistan to Syria and Yemen. All of this is leading to real instability in the Middle East, and a caliphate is being born right now. It's Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Houthi, Taliban. They're all fighting, but they don't have a single leader yet. But they're all going to be supported by Russia, North Korea, China to keep on going. And their aim is going to be to take control of about 30% of the world's energy supplies and controlling what moves through the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman and the Red Sea. This will give them control of the Suez Canal. Remember, the Suez Canal, if we would have lost it in World War II, which the Nazis were trying to take it out, if we would have lost the Suez Canal in World War II, we would have been done overnight. It's pretty much the same now until we start to drill, baby, drill, or buy Greenland, which I'll get to that prediction in a little while. It is already happening. Syria's, the ashes are piling up. And Al-Qaeda's leadership is already partnering with the alliance in the Taliban in Afghanistan. The old Shiite versus Sunni is pushed aside for now. They'll settle their differences. Remember, I said this years ago. They'll all say, yeah. Well, we'll deal with that person after we deal with this one. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And the target will be the U.S. and Europe. And Europe is in such a helpless and hopeless disarray that they'll be able to destabilize pretty quickly the European Union. And who's going to help? Is Japan going to help? I think South Korea, which we'll get into here in a second, is going to be in real problem. The world is going to be on the edge. And there's not much the world will be able to do because the Muslims have been ignored. The extreme Muslims who want Sharia law. And Russia and China, it works to their advantage if this is all going up. So this is the ongoing legacy of Joe Biden and his administration. And that's why drill, baby, drill is so important. Because I believe that new caliphate, strong one, is coming. What did ChatGPT say about this? Please say it was bad.
ChatGPT gives this probability of 60 5%. They say Iran, Iraq, and others may consolidate alliances, controlling oil routes and forming a de facto caliphate supported by Russia and China.
It's exactly what I said.
Yeah, every time you say the C word, caliphate, I get nervous because you're already batting 1,000 on that prediction.
I know.
I would say it would be even more than 60% if not for Israel. I think that Israel
for Israel and Trump.
Israel and the duo there, I think bodes well for us. And
I agree.
I think that Iran was already close to building that, but I think that Israel severely delayed that. And I think if they can get involved with the Trump administration, like they did with the Abraham Accords, I think this could be a better scenario. So let's pray for that.
So let me give you the next prediction when we come back. It's number 7. China invades? Yes. Next. First, let me tell you about Jace Medical. You should be empowered to care for yourself and for your loved ones when the unexpected actually happens. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but, look at the predictions, especially the ones that are coming, could get a little dicey. We could be in an emergency situation that means pharmacies don't have the ability to stock the important medication on hand, medications that you and your family might need. Imagine living in a country now, after we've seen what antibiotics can do, where we can get antibiotics, but we suddenly can't? What would that What would that mean to our country? China produces 80% of our generic medication. That's not good. Get the Jace case. It'll allow you to start stocking up on medication right now in your home so you're prepared. The Jace case, personalized emergency kit that contains essential antibiotics and medications that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. Bird flu? Yeah. You might want to get some emergency use medications in your home right now. You just fill out a simple form online. You'll have it in case you need it. They even have ivermectin as an add-on if you want it. So just go to jace.com, enter the promo code Beck at checkout, get a discount on your order. It's JASE, jace.com. Enter the promo code Beck. All right, I want to talk to you about China, which I think could be very, very spooky. They are on the edge right now. Financially, they're on the edge. They're also, you can only be a paper tiger for so long. You can only flex your muscles so long before people they don't have anything. They're not going to do it. And they also need some expertise on a few things if they're going to take Taiwan. I really thought if they were going to take Taiwan, they'd do it before the 20th. They're running out of time. I don't think they're going to do it, but they don't want to do anything with Donald Trump. But they're having so much civil unrest, they need to have some sort of a, nationalist rallying cry. They need an enemy right now, and that always gets dangerous. So I believe they're going to invade, but they're going to invade some country that we're just not going to get involved in because we're going to be busy all around the world. And I think it comes down to Kyrgyzstan, Nepal, Laos, Vietnam, Bangladesh. I mean, toss in Cambodia just for the fun of it. And Bangladesh and Cambodia I throw in because they need to have amphibious landing experience if they're going to take Taiwan. Cambodia and Bangladesh, if they take those countries, that would give them the experience of the amphibious landing, which they've never had. Also, Bangladesh and Vietnam is where the U.S. and the Western corporations are shifting their manufacturing away from China to make it more of more U.S. friendly. So they look at that as an impact against China. So, what are they going to do? I think the nationalism is going to rise in China, and Donald Trump will not do anything other than tariffs on them, especially if they're taking these other countries. We would not fight and get back into a fight, which would make them stronger internally. What does ChatGPT say about this?
You're not saying they're going to invade Taiwan, which they'd probably give it a very low grade.
No.
But since you focused elsewhere, they give it a They give it a 55% probability that you are correct. said China unlikely to invade Taiwan, but could target weaker neighbors like Vietnam, Laos, or Myanmar under the guise of peacekeeping. These actions would signal its military dominance while testing international reactions. 55%.
I'd like you to run through ChatGPT, and maybe we can talk about it on radio tomorrow. I think the Panama Canal is going to be a Cuban Missile Crisis. I think Donald Trump's going to take a strong stand, because if China does anything, because we had Hong Kong involved when it was English, the Panama Canal is now run by the Chinese. And every company is basically the Chinese government. And so we can't have that. If they want to become aggressive, all they have to do is close the Panama Canal. That's in our hemisphere. They have no place. It's exactly Russia and Cuba. I think this year we could be facing a Cuban Missile-style crisis with China and Panama. I'd love to see you run that through ChatGPT. Maybe we'll have that for tomorrow. Could you do that?
Yep, and I'd like to add, too, that it's kind of interesting more than I think about what China has done to the Panama Canal. It reminds me, if you look back in history, to things like the British East India Company, how they used commerce and corporate companies that are very much attached to the government to go out and just take over large swaths of the planet. It's exactly what they've done to Taiwan. If they attack and it's like a Cuban Missile Crisis type thing, it's going to look way differently, because they're going to be using corporations with a direct phone line to the CCP. They're going to be using hybrid warfare like that no other administration's been prepared for. I hope and pray that Donald Trump is. I know he is, actually, but this is going to be a completely different ballgame moving forward.
I will tell you, it is. We're fortunate to have Donald Trump because we've done so much damage. And if we didn't have a strong leader right now, we would be in real trouble. We need somebody who the world believes his bark, so we don't ever have to bite. All right, let me get to the next one. This is dicey. This is going to take a long time to really kind of lay out all of the reasons why. But, they wanted to boost the economy, to get Kamala Harris elected. And so, the Fed and Powell and everybody else, they artificially kept the policies for the Fed in place that were highly favorable to banks. That way they could just keep taking money from the Fed, giving it to the banks could give it to the corporations could then put it in the stock market, they could make more money, everything looks good, and the economy is growing, but you don't feel it. That was all a game from the Fed. Well, now we are going to have to, at some point, and I think it could be this year, we're going to have to pay for the consequences. And the reason why I think it's going to be this year is you've got to stop Donald. If you're on the other side, you've got to stop Donald Trump from what he's doing. And the only way to do that is to make him unpopular by creating an economic collapse or a banking problem or, a dollar problem. And you're already seeing this in action. The guy who always gets blamed for it is the guy in Wall Street, the one who, spills the milk in Wall Street, but especially Main Street. You're in real trouble. It's the economy, stupid. So there's going to be, really, it's a manufactured crisis. We all knew this was coming at one point, but he's going to have to deal with this. I hope not, but I think it's a good possibility that it will happen, and that could cause supply disruptions, also unrest in the rest of the world. The idea from the left and those who are in the WEF and everybody else who has worked 100 years to put this new world order together, they're not going to go away, and they have big levers to be able to stop, thwart, or hurt Donald Trump on what he is doing. Probability from ChatGPT.
This one's interesting, Glenn, because I really get nervous every time you mention, banking, crisis. And I remember when we were looking at this a few months ago, or that's actually when all the banks were going down. I can't remember, it was the beginning of last year. And we were like, what are they going to do?
2 years ago.
Like, how do they handle inflation? Because if they don't cut inflation, then I mean, if they don't drop interest rates, then we're screwed. If they do drop interest rates, the banks have all these unrealized losses that the banks are screwed. So it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I really don't know how they're going to handle it. ChatGPT, with your prediction, gives that a 50% probability. 50%. They go on, they say, with rising interest rates and corporate layoffs, a stock market downturn is likely. Small businesses should secure supply chains and anticipate disruptions in 2025. That might be the scariest of all.
Wow. It's amazing how you put it through ChatGPT in almost the same language on supply chains and everything else comes out.
And that's 50%.
Go ahead.
So that's incredibly high for AI. You're not hedging anything. 50%, they're like, it's probably going to happen, pretty much.
Coin flip. Okay. I want to get into the last two, but I also have a couple of other predictions that I want to lean into. One of them is on Greenland, and we'll get into that in just a minute. Stand by. Okay, we only have a few minutes to go through rapidly. Three, or actually, I'd like to get four in, but let's finish the board here. North Korea versus South Korea. This kind of ties into the last prediction about China invading somewhere and somewhere. Because they want to want the world's attention elsewhere and divide everybody's attention and make sure Trump is looking at several crises, not just the Chinese, they're going to give the go-ahead, I think, to North Korea. And North Korea is probably going to go in and try to do something. They'll say, their soldiers violated our space, or there was a spy ship off our coast, or whatever. But North Korea will attack South Korea in some limited way that will not hurt American soldiers or American sovereignty at all. And what they will do is they will push us as far as they can. China will want to see how much they can get away with without the United States getting involved. They don't want a war with the United States, at least at this point. They want to judge us. So what they're doing is a shark bump. This will be a world's most dangerous shark bump, with China, North Korea invading South Korea while China is going in someplace else, to see how we react, knowing that if they don't push it too far, they might be able to get away with their attack on another nation, just to be able to hold their community and their economies together. All right, let me go to the Diddy and Epstein. By the way, what did ChatGPT give on that? Quickly, any score on that one?
ChatGPT gave a less than 50% chance, gave a 40% chance of that happening.
Okay, all right, good. All right, Diddy and Epstein. I'm going to do this one quickly. I don't think this is going to come out. I hope with Kash Patel this is going to come out. But I give this kind of a low probability of happening this year. Even though it should, and it should be a priority, there are too many very powerful people involved, too many agencies. I'm wondering if when Kash Patel gets in, if he says, the Epstein diaries, they're all missing. We don't know where they are anymore. I think that's more likely than all of the information being released, even though Kash Patel has told me that that's what has to happen. They have to be released. The P. Diddy thing is exactly the same. The only chance these have of being released is if you make it into a very big deal. If the American public can come together and demand answers and demand that people go to jail for this, and all of these names are exposed, unless you demand it, it will not have any teeth in Congress or any place else to be released. Let's see. The next one is, I want to talk about Greenland. I'm not sure it'll happen this year, but I don't think we're going to be making Greenland a 51st state, but I do think we are going to be have access to some of Greenland's space, at least strategically. I think that's a possibility. I think Trump is going to leverage NATO over Denmark's head, and we might spend $1 trillion to buy Greenland. I don't know if it'll go through to a buy. It would be the best investment our country could make, but something's going to happen with Greenland. That's just not an empty throw it out there. Also put on the prediction board that Trump is going to appoint 2 Supreme Court justices this year. I don't know how likely that is. Did you run this through ChatGPT?
We did, and ChatGPT is a little iffy on that one. They only give that a 25% chance of being accurate.
25%. I think it could happen, though. I really do. I think there could be one that's ready to retire and another one that gets sick or something else, and we could have a massive change to the Supreme Court, which would be absolutely incredible. And do I have any others that I have missed? No, I think I got them. So, in the last 2 minutes, Jason, what do you think?
I think that your prediction and comments on Greenland are the most intriguing to me. I think a lot of people have treated it kind of like a joke, almost. Like, oh gosh, that's just, him pulling something out and making... No,
he's dead serious.
He's dead serious. And there has, Glenn, when has there been an administration that has been actually thinking outside the box and looking to make changes that improve the state of the United States moving forward over the next 50 years? Truman. You have to go back that far. And it's amazing if you think about, okay, people will say, let's transition away from China. Okay, fine, but how? What do you do?
And not only that, Donald Trump in Panama and with Greenland is now playing offense, not defense. And we haven't seen a president play that in a very, very long time. Everybody in our country has become convinced that our children's life will not be as good as our life has been, that America is over. And all we've been talking about is just delaying that. Donald Trump is coming in and saying, no, there's a new chapter that is going to be written. And it's going to be written by those who are bold enough to see the future and say, we need to make an investment in our future. And that's the investment, not infrastructure bullcrap, but that. We need to make sure that our hemisphere is protected. And the Chinese are not in our hemisphere, just like John F. Kennedy did. Greenland and Panama, is this president explaining to the world in action what America first means, what it means to say America's best days are ahead, not behind. Everything else is just to bring us back to status quo. These things are to bring us forward into a new American great time. All right, we'll see you tomorrow on radio from the Standing Rock Ranch. Good night, America.